Stop
Hey
throwing
man,
things.
mine was just an empty can. There's like a bunch of ice in there. You're gonna make a mess.
Horrible.
You're gonna get rats in here again.
Anyway, we go every week. We go on the Podcast Beyond Facebook group. That's facebook.com/group/Podcast Beyond, and we ask your questions.
Go to clouds.com.
That clouds.net. And this week we got a bunch of great ones, all about E3. Fabian Lopez asked, do you think the PlayStation games announced will all be delayed?
You can't delay something that doesn't have a release date
That's true.
because it's really far off.
That's legitimately. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying before. Like, that's why they didn't do release dates.
Horizon and Last Guardian could be the only things that could be delayed, and I don't think they will.
I think they delayed Last Guardian.
Resident Evil might.
Yeah, maybe Resident Evil. Yeah.
Garyman Garrett asks, any Vita games on the show floor?
Nope.
There were.
Wait, yeah.
Yes, there
Callie
were.
Miranda played fun.
There were Psychopaths and Yomawari at the NIS booth, and God, there was one other one. Yeah, they're at third parties. But, I mean, literally none in Sony's booth, none on stage.
I had a running joke with the God of War devs when they came by to do our show that I was going to start giving people $10 for every time I heard a dev say the word Vita. I'd give them $10.
The only one
they said it once, and then I said it once to them, and I was like, "No, it just cancels each other."
So that was the funny thing is that NIS had Psychopaths and Yomawari, and there might have been one more.
Yep.
We're in a meeting room, not in the show floor. I think possibly literally the only one I saw on the show floor was Square had World of Final Fantasy. But that is the only big Vita game that I think we know of.
Chris Thorne says, did you talk to anyone at E3 or at a party after that you gained a new respect for?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. Brandon Jones from Easy Allies I got to catch up with him for the first time for a couple of moments at E3. Just really wonderful, genuine dude. Like, go support the stuff that those guys are doing over there.
And also Andrea Renee.
Yeah, Andrea Renee was awesome.
All three. I don't know. Did you do one of the press conference reaction things for Access?
No, I didn't do that.
You did most of the post-shows.
So I did Sony with her. I think you did Nintendo, and you did Yubi.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, point being, like, I have so much respect for her. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She did our IGN Access conversations for the press conferences, and go back and watch those because she just, like, I thought did a really good job of, like, finding the key points from each of them, and she's wonderful.
Yeah. And I met Bernie Burns at our party, and he was
Bernie's
awesome. Incredible.
Yep.
I had a conversation with the creative director of Watch Dogs 2, and it just, I'm incredibly excited for that game, but they really just get it.
Also, all the devs, like, that was the first time I met Corey. I met a bunch of folks from Rocksteady who listened to the show, and like everyone I met who listens to our stuff, which boggles my mind that the people we respect who make the things that allow us to have our jobs also listen to this.
It's so cool how cyclical that is.
Sorry about that ham episode.
Yes. But yeah, Alana and I went to play Sea of Thieves.
ham.
Like, Rare is probably our favorite developer of all time, and everyone from Rare knew who we were, which is just mind-boggling.
It's so cool.
I think legitimately, like, again, to mention your preview, Corey's quotes and everything Corey said about God of War, like, as far as this question, that is someone who I'm like, I didn't understand how well you knew your own games and characters. And that, like, he was so insightful, so smart. Yeah, David Cage also, I think it's easy to kind of poke fun at him, but hearing him be so excited about this world, I thought was really cool.
He's a lovely man. I've interviewed him once before, and I got to have him on the show floor, and it was like, it was weird because I think he, like, either he was just being very polite or he knew who I was, which is always kind of a weird thing to be like, you made video games. I like talking to a microphone. Like, that's a stupid thing. I don't
born in France. He knows everyone born in France.
And then,
no, it was charming to talk to. I also got to talk to Cliff Bleszinski, who,
nice.
I don't know, we've had, like, bickered on Twitter before and stuff, but he was like, we just sat down and BS'd about his game, and it was like it's really cool. He's a guy who really cares about what he does, and I mean both these guys. I think everybody at E3 kind of cares about what they do because it's fascinating. But
Max and I had a weird 20 minutes where within 20 minutes I interviewed Suda51, and he interviewed Cliff Bleszinski, and I'm like, could you imagine like us telling each other this like 7 years ago? Killer 7's one of my favorite games of all time. Like, it was just super surreal. I love doing it.
I used to play Unreal Tournament in the homeroom. Like, it was weird.
You had a weird teacher, dude. That's the real problem there.
I'm gonna get made fun of. I should also mention Shigenori Sojima was there. He's the character designer of Persona 5, and he created everybody from 3 and 4, and it was cool to meet him.
Even if you put us to sleep.
Even if you sat in that chair.
Tommy Ratliff says, what was your favorite memory from your very first E3? My first day at IGN working with any of these people was at E3, so that was like just getting shot out of a cannon into a wall.
And shout out to Jonathan Dorbush who had that this year.
Actually, it was we were in the E3 war room, and it was the last day, and everybody was busting their asses, and Steve Butts was there, and Steve Butts was just an editor at the time. And Matt Casamassima got up and said, hey, the internet cut out in here. And everyone was like, we can't work. And Steve stood up and just yelled at the top of his lungs, everybody is working for the weekend. And I was like, this guy is awesome. And I started laughing so hard. I'm like, there's this camaraderie here that I've never seen it anywhere I've ever worked. Like I worked jobs before this, and it's just seeing everybody come together was so special and so cool. So that's probably my favorite memory.
War room stuff is the best. Like there's pictures of it, like honestly going live on a post show or a pre-show or writing news, and just everyone sort of watching conferences together and geeking out together is awesome.
I tweeted it at the time, but like last year, the moment they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you felt the war room freak out. This year there were like a dozen moments like that.
You can take the temperature on, like that's a really interesting like focus group, honestly. You can take the temperature on the games industry at that war room during any press conference. When the entire room's laughing at something, that's not like, we're not aping each other. We're doing that because we all feel like that's stupid. When we're cheering and clapping, like I remember last year we were watching the Mario Maker stream, just watching them play through these like expert levels.
You guys were going nuts. That was awesome.
I mean, when Star Wars VR got announced, like they were sitting right next to you.
There's a video on Alana's Twitter of me and Brian, and I didn't realize we were being filmed, and we were just like losing our minds. I was like clapping so hard that my fingers went numb, and I was like, my face is tingling, and I was just like
there's
hopping
like
up and down.
40 times through the conferences where like some pair of us would like, we got kind of like, what is going on right now?
In Battlefield 1, they were like, we're proud to announce that you can even use shovels, and I'm like, yeah! It's like, what's wrong with you? And then they kill a horse, and Brian goes, no!
I loved the moment you pan around his face and it was revealed that it was Norman Reedus in the Death Stranding demo. The war room went nuts, which I love.
The Spider-Man trailer,
all
the Zelda footage.
Yeah.
I cried. I'm not lying. I have tears in my eyes.
My first E3, to answer this question, I got to meet Sean Baby, whose website I read growing up. Like that was kind of my first exposure, aside from I guess on websites really. I mean, I go to IGN for walkthroughs and stuff, but for like
the godfather of video game comedy, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it was super weird, and I just
what about Nestor?
But yeah, like I met him at a party, and I was like totally just freaked out and like just completely fanboyed and was like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. And he was like super nice, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I don't know, here I am, like this is my 6th E3, like it's just weird how it creeps up on you that like, oh hey,
this is my 5th.
This was my 8th.
This was my 9th.
I met Cliff Blazinski at my first E3. I was with Will Tuttle, who works at Xbox now, and Tal Blevins, who used to work at IGN. And we were just walking down the street, and all of a sudden Cliff's there, and they started talking to him because they'd known him for years. And I'm just standing there, and I'm like, hi, I'm Brian. They're like, this is Brian. He's our new hire. It's his first E3. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. And we walked away, and I was like, oh my god, that was so cool. And they're like, oh, we didn't realize this is all new for you. Like, we're all so numb to this. And like, there's something so special about that. I hope that I don't think that'll ever go away. Really.
And I love being able to. It seems like every year we have 1 or 2 new people, and being able to like be that to them now.
Oh, it's great.
Like,
talking to Chastity after was awesome because this was her first E3, and she was just like totally like neck deep in it, basically.
Also, hey, even if you don't use Snapchat, get Snapchat and check out IGN stuff on there because Chastity and her team, they bust their ass and they do some incredible stuff.
Also, just one of the things that's just really good on IGN and just works and is different and
basically a little
cutting edge.
It's like a little page a day calendar but with videos. It feels very much like
a bunch of us would always pop up in there.
You do very weird, funny videos on that. So go check that out.
Yeah, we have every time one of us pitches a feature that's too weird to actually go up on the site, we're like, let's do it for Snapchat because in 24 hours we can't get in trouble.
I wanted to do one last one at the end about IGN's Game of the Show, which was Zelda. Goji Gonzalez says, do you feel like the new Zelda looks a lot like Shadow of the Colossus reskinned with a Nintendo look? A lot of people were just sort of generally asking our thoughts on Zelda, which, I mean, obviously if you grew up playing video games, that's a franchise you've interacted with in some way. It's my favorite video game franchise of all time. How do you guys feel about Zelda? I know it's not a PS4 game, sorry.
It looks like Metal Gear Solid 5 did in terms of being like, here's this genre-defining classic series that's been around for 30 years or whatever, and they're finally like taking cues from other games. Yeah. Because I think that it's one of those things where it's to be like, to be derivative after being a trendsetter is kind of frowned upon, and it's like it's always kind of like, oh, we're gonna do our own thing, but like maybe poke your head up now and then and look at what other people are doing. So this looks like, this looks a little bit like Shadow of the Colossus. I was thinking more kind of like more Dark Souls, more Skyrim,
Uncharted.
Uncharted. Yeah, I mean it's got like all these. It looks
Minecraft.
Looks like a massive, massive departure for the series, and it's
For
know.
the first time since '98.
Yeah, it feels like they're making making a
I mean,
game outside of the vacuum.
Well, also the game it's closest to is the NES Zelda. Like honestly,
100%.
what it really feels like is a super modern reboot of that, because that's the only Zelda where you can just go in any direction.
And a lot of
talking
things
about that with,
Max mentioned are pulled from some of the things that the
know.
original Zelda had.
Well,
like,
and that's the cool thing. It's that when Tomb Raider Reboot came out in 2013, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's ripping off Uncharted," and it's like, well, but Uncharted is ripping off Tomb Raider.
Well, dude, I did an interview with the devs behind Lego Worlds at E3, and people were in the comments and they were like, "This is a Minecraft ripoff," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Minecraft ripped off Legos. Like, that's where it started. Like, let's trace this back. But I was talking to Ryan Scott yesterday. He used to work here. He's a friend of the show on Comedy Button, and about how the original Legend of Zelda is basically a game that you can walk into the dungeon or the third dungeon straight up in the beginning of the game. Like, if you can go to the second screen and buy the candle that lets you burn a bush, and then walk into the seventh dungeon and just start fighting dudes.
Yeah. Well, and that's what? I mean, in this new Zelda, like when Jose and I saw it, they literally just turned a corner and we met this giant rock monster who just destroyed us in one blow, and they were like, "Not ready for that one yet." And that was like 1 minute into the game.
So one of my favorite things in Bloodborne is like running around that first area that looks a lot like Resident Evil 4, and there's down that one side street. You're like, "Who the hell's that dude?"
Oh, the big dude with the
it's just a big ass dude, and you go down there and he destroys you, and then like you come back 5 hours later and you're like, "Yo, what's up now?"
I'm ready for it.
I love that. I love that.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's doing, I think, for we've never really seen an open world Metroidvania like. In that sense, where it's just like, okay, there's an environment puzzle here, but you can't get through it yet because you don't have a hook shot. I mean, but who knows where that hook shot is?
Like the Tomb Raider reboot kind of did that.
Kind of, yeah.
But it was still those weird sort of structure. That never felt like an open world.
Open world.
I mean, that was really good. I know we didn't give you your props in the last episode, but
that was good.
Yeah.